Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bukis. How you all doing? It's good to be back with another tutorial which will be on how to make a high-low flared dress with a yoke and a cold shoulder sleeve. Isn't that beautiful? So this is what the dress is going to look like. You can see the front is higher, the back is lower. You can see the shaded part which will be the yoke. I'll be making use of this two net for that. Then the main dress, I'll be making use of this beautiful fabric. Can you see that? So awesome. Now the coat shoulder, a bit flared coat shoulder that's just gonna fall along your arm. So let's get started. Before that, if today is your first time of checking out this channel, you're welcome and in the right place. Please make sure you subscribe and check out my other channel, Pattern Drafting with Blakis and Blakis Kitchen. Follow me on Instagram, Blakis Signatures, and on Facebook, Sewing Innovations. Then if you're interested in our sewing tools like the straight ruler, the hip cuff, pant cuff, hammer cuff, pattern master pins, tracing wheel, seam ripper, and so on, both in wooden and plastic, get in touch with us through the contact number in the description box below. Now let's get started. Now you need to determine the length of the dress you're making using the back, because the back is the longest. So for me, 44-45 is just perfect. And after that, you need the length, your half of the armhole measurement. If you don't know how to do all this, check out my video on how to draft a basic bodies pattern, which I'll put the link in the description box below. So now looking at this paper I have here, the first thing is to determine the first line and then half of your armhole measurement. Mine is 8.5, as you can see that. After doing that, the next thing is to insert the 3 inches, 8 inches standard. So first, you need to measure 3 inches, which is here, and then 8 inches. This is the 8 inches here. From that 8 inches, come down by 1 inch, and then connect from the 3 inches across that point. That's to determine the shoulder slant. Once you finish that, just insert your shoulder measurement. Half of my shoulder measurement is 8.5 inches, as you can see that, and also here, then draw a straight line. After doing that, the next thing is to determine the armhole measurement. So first, you can insert your bust measurement here. For me, my bust measurement is 44. When I divide that by 4, I'm going to have 11 inches. So that 11 inches, you could add his to that, maybe quarter or half. That's totally depending on your preference. So let me just add quarter inch to that. So that's that then. 1 inch seam allowance, or just 3/4. I guess 3/4 is fine. Well, I would advise you to add 1 inch. So the next thing now is to determine half of the armhole. So half of the armhole here is, so for the front, although we might not need this, but let me just do it the proper way. Come in by 3/4 inch. So for the front, so that's how to mark the front armhole measurement. Then for the back, so that's what it looks like. So the next thing we are going to do now is to determine how much you want the yoke to be. That is this yoke, this shaded part. So on the average, between 7 to 7.5 is perfect. But for some people, if you don't want too much skin, 6 is okay. So for me, I'm just going to make it 7. 7 is fine. From here, 7. Now that is the yoke. After doing that, the next thing is this. Because it is a sleeveless dress, it is not advisable you start from the hand here, the shoulder here, because it's going to come out from your shoulder. So all you have to do is to come in by 1 inch or 1.5. So that's what I'll have. And then I can just blend that up into the front arm. So now you won't be having either back or front armhole curve. So for those that want to have a sleeve, you use this very one. Okay. So that is the new armhole. After doing that, we need to go to the the neck depth and neck width. For the neck width, I'll just make that 4 inches. Can you see? And then for the neck, so you can decide to have a V, a round neck, whatsoever, but I will prefer a round neck for myself. I don't know about you, but I'll show you how to do the V. So 4 inches for the depth. So this is how I'll connect that. But in case you want a V, you can make it a bit deeper than that. So that can just be 4.5. And then you just take your armhole curve using this side. That's for those that want a V, but I would prefer a round neck. So after doing that, the next thing is for us to have the seam allowance. 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. Then here, this is the new armhole line, 1/2 inch. That's it, seam allowance. So not just to cut this straight, just come down by maybe 1 inch or 1/2 inch. So you mark this point straight, so you can cut that out. So I'm using the same neckline for both the front and the back, except you want the back to be higher, it depends on you. So I'm using the round neck. So we are using the new armhole. Here I have 2.5 yards of fabric because I'm making for a plus size. If you're making for a medium size, make use of 2 yards of fabric. That is because it's like an off the shoulder, so I'm making use of just this part. But if I'm making use of a whole dress, that is, I'm starting from here, I'll be making use of 3 yards for myself, and for a medium size that will be 2.5. But because this is going to be off, I'm making use of 2.5. So here I have 2.5. So before you cut this out, just write add 1/2 inch, and also here add 1/2 inch to make it 1 again. So that will be the seam allowance. So having done that, we can cut it out. So let's keep this aside. Good. So what I'm going to do now is this. Here I have 2 yards, so I just folded into 2. So the total of 2 yards, then I folded it into 2.5 yards, then I folded into 2. So having folded it now, what we are going to do is to fold on bias. This is it. And you see, I folded on bias, not just straight like normal A-line. This is a flare dress, that is why I'm folding on bias. The next thing now is to check if this will be enough for the length. So the first thing is this, place this at the upper part, noting this folded area, and then we are still going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance at the upper part. So let me just click that down. Make sure this line is straight with the folded part. Okay, good. Then place half of the armhole. This is the half of the armhole line. The armhole, you can know that. 8.5. Okay, I have 45. Then I'll move it a bit. 8.5. 45, that is good. So at that point I'll keep rotating 8.5. So that means it is just perfect. So get your chalk. I think this should be okay. Good. So the next thing is to start marking it. Place the 8.5 at that point. 45. Move it a bit again. 45. a bit. 5. So just like half of your bust pan measurement. So at that point, you just keep rotating. Just keep rotating. You don't move it till the end. So 8.5. Still at that point. 45. So that's good. Haven't done that. The next thing is to connect from the hand here to the edge here. So the dress is ready. The next thing is to decide how high you want the front to be. So for the front, I can just make it like 5 inches. So mark from this point 5 inches. And after that, just make a curve. Can you see? Just hope that is visible. So this is what we have, and then we can cut it out. Don't forget to add the 1/2 inch seam allowance here, only to the upper part and not the armhole. 1/2 inch. Good. You see that? So let's cut it out. Now this is what the dress looks like. Can you see that? This is it. So we are going to remove the one in the middle, and that will be for the back. Then we can fold this back. To be. So can you see that? So it comes up in the front. Now let's cut the yoke. The yoke will be cutting out 4. 2 for the front, and it will be on fold. 2 for the front, 2 for the back. You're surprised, yes. One is going to be aligning to the other. You will see when we start sewing it up. So all I have to do is to just fold. Can you see? So make sure this line matches the folded part. So to just cut out 4 at once, you fold over, or better still, fold a lot. Take your time to do that. Fold over again, and then fold over. Then you cut it out. Don't forget to add the 1/2 inch seam allowance. So let me do that. The yoke, as you can see, I've added the 1/2 inch seam allowance. So this will be for the front, and this will be for the back. As you can see that. So we finished with the dress, the yoke. Now we're going to cut out the sleeve. Out the sleeve, it is very easy. All you have to do is to fold diagonally, just as we fold for half circle skirts or peplum or whatsoever. Can you see that? So all I did now is to fold this way. Can you see? Then you take your measurement. In case you want to cut the 2 sleeves together, all you have to do is to first fold this way and then fold. So it's as easy as that. Then how will you get the wideness of the sleeve? Let me quickly explain that. It is very easy. Just take the measurement of your bicep region, that is the larger part of your arm, very close to your shoulder. That's your bicep region. So for me, it is 16 inches. So 16 inches, when I divide into 2, it will give me 8 inches. Why am I dividing into 2? That's because the fabric is on fold. So since I have 8 inches, now all you have to do is to deduct 2 inches from that. So instead of the 8, that means I'll be working with 6. So meaning the wideness is going to be 6 inches. You don't need to add seam allowance to that. And then the height of the sleeve should be 4 inches. So with seam allowance on the upper part and the lower part, that should be 5. So but for me, I want it to be wider because for this dress I will be wearing something underneath it. So I want the sleeve to fall so much. So for me, I'll be using the exact bicep measurement of 8 inches. I just want to tell you that you have to deduct 2 inches from yours, but I'm not doing that because I want it to fall. I want the height to be like 4 inches. So with seam allowance, half inch at the upper part, half inch at the lower part, which is 1, that will make it 5 inches. So that should be 5 inches. Then at that point whereby it's going to join the dress, I want it to be 3 inches. So for that, I'm going to make it 4 because half an inch on both sides. For the upper part and lower, that's 1 plus 3. That will give us 4. So for the wider part, that's going to be 5. So having noted the height, back to the biceps measurement. For me, it is 16. Half of that is 8 plus, let's say, 1 inch seam allowance. That makes it 9. So I'm just going to take my measuring tape and measure 9. Then I have to note the 5 inches as I've done earlier on. From here, you can take it from the middle so that it will be accurate. Good. So I just make sure I made it straight. I didn't take this fold into consideration. I just make sure this is straight. After doing that, to confirm 5 inches, 5 inches, we measured 9. So 9 is going to be here. So just make a slight curve. So since we want this side to be 4 inches, this is what the sleeve is going to look like. So from here now, here. This is what the sleeve looks like on both sides. Time to start sewing up the panel. So this is for the front, this is for the back. So this is the dress, this is the cold shoulder sleeve for both sides. So I had to cut a lining for the sleeve to make it more stable. So, and this is it for the dress, the front and back. So the first thing we're going to do now is this. So go to the two net. First you have to join it by the shoulder. Join this by half an inch at the shoulder. Then also the other one half an inch by the shoulder. Then we can now join. So the next thing is to trim it as low as possible. So after doing that, just make sure right side are facing each other. So once the right side are facing each other this way, then you take it back to the sewing machine and then sew up the neck region. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to sew up the armhole area. So what do? Just open this up. After opening it up, put everything inside. You see, So now you now have the wrong side to you, so you take it back to the sewing machine and just sew in half an inch all through, then you trim it off. Then I'm going to bring it out from here. So after doing that, the next thing is to trim the same way we did the other ones. Good, can you see that? So we have finished the other side here. So you are going to use a lukewarm iron to give it a good press. Can you see that was easy? So the same thing with this side is to open this. This is on the right side, so open it to the wrong side, put everything in, turn again to the side, then I'm going to sew it and bring it out. Then going to the sleeve, what do? Just make sure right side are facing each other. Can you see that? Then I'll take to the sewing machine, half an inch here, half an inch here. Then I'll bring it out and give it a good press. Everything is ready. The yoke is ready. I used a lukewarm iron to give it a very good press, and this is what I have. Also the sleeve, the cold shoulder sleeve is ready. Can you see how beautiful that looks? So what am I going to do now is to attach both the front and the back to the yoke. So what do? Make sure the right side are facing each other. So what I will do now is this. I'm just going to join this together, sew this together, and this other one will be attached to the back. So after sewing it up, once the half an inch has been taken, then you take this sleeve too. Just start from wherever the yoke ends, and then you attach it. This, just sew it down half an inch, then to the back the same thing, half an inch. I'll do that to the other side too, then we can finish it. I have attached the yoke to the main dress. Looking at it, this is what I have. So another thing I did was to top stitch the seam allowance towards the fabric. So what I did after attaching it, so I took all the seam allowance, the tulle and the fabric towards the fabric, and then top stitch 1/4 of an inch. So on the right side, this is it. Can you see the top stitching? How beautiful that looks. The next thing was that I attached the cold shoulder to the dress. What I'm going to do now is to go back to the sewing machine and use my zigzag stitch to finish these raw edges from the beginning till the end. And after doing, or if you have an overlocking machine, you can use that. After that, I'm now going to fold it in and top stitch the same way I did for this upper part. Top stitch from the beginning till the end of this point. I'm going to do that to the other side, and after doing that, I will have to sew up the sides. You can have a pocket if you want. So I'll go take the sides together and then sew in the 3/4 inch I left. I left 3/4 inch. Then I'm going to sew it all down, and after that, I will have to hem the lower parts. And you see, just hem it all around, and that is that. High-low flared dress with yoke and cold shoulder sleeve we've just made. You can see how beautiful it came out. So when you put it on, your hands are just going to give that cold shoulder some fitting. And if this tutorial has been helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and share the link with your family and friends. I have to go now. Bye guys.